This stays between us.
The vanilla buttercream cake sat in the passenger seat like a passenger made of spun sugar and dreams. Marcus Chen glanced at it for the 7th time in as many minutes, making sure it hadn't somehow toppled over despite being secured with 2 seatbelts and a prayer. 3 hours. He had 3 hours until 20. Screaming 8-year-olds descended on Riverside Indoor Play Center, and his daughter Zoe would finally get the birthday party she deserved. The one he'd promised her after last year's disaster when he'd been stuck in a client meeting until 9 p.m. and arrived to find her sitting alone with Mrs. Patel and a grocery store cupcake with a single candle. The memory still twisted his gut. Not this year. This year would be perfect. The red and blue lights in his rearview mirror suggested the universe had other plans. No, 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 Marcus muttered, checking his speedometer. 32 in a 35 zone. His inspection was current. Registration valid. He pulled over carefully, making sure the cake stayed level, and rolled down his window. The officer who approached was tall, athletic build, dark hair pulled back in a severe bun that somehow made her sharp features even more striking. Her nameplate read Taurus, and her expression suggested she'd rather be literally anywhere else. "License and registration," she said, her voice flat and professional. "Of course, officer. May I ask what I did wrong?" Marcus reached for his glove compartment slowly, deliberately. He'd had the talk with Zoe about police interactions, about keeping hands visible, about saying yes, sir, and no, ma'am. The talk he'd hoped she'd never need but knew she would. "Your rear taillight is out." Marcus blinked. I didn't know. I just had the car serviced last week." Officer Torres took his documents without comment, returning to her patrol car. Marcus watched her in the mirror, saw her speaking into her radio, saw her posture change from routine to alert. His stomach dropped. She was on the radio too long, way too long for a broken taillight. When she returned, she wasn't alone. A second officer flanked her, hand resting casually on his belt. The universal symbol for this is about to go very badly. "Mr. Chen, I need you to step out of the vehicle." "I'm sorry, what?" "Officer, I have my daughter's birthday party in 3 hours. I just need to—" "Step out of the vehicle, now." The world tilted sideways. 10 minutes later, Marcus sat in the back of a patrol car, hands cuffed behind his back, watching Officer Torres carefully transfer his daughter's birthday cake to her own vehicle. At least she was being gentle with it. That felt absurdly important in a moment when nothing else made sense. "There has to be a mistake," he said for the 4th time. "I've never been to Nevada. I've never even driven through Nevada." He thought about Zoe. She'd be watching the window right now, waiting for him to pull up with the cake. She'd be wearing the new dress they'd picked out together, the one with the sparkly purple butterflies. Her hair would be in the 2 braids he'd finally learned to do without YouTube assistance. She'd be so excited, and then he wouldn't show up, and Mrs. Patel would make excuses, and the other parents would start arriving, and Zoe would keep watching the window, excitement slowly curdling into confusion, then worry, then that terrible resignation he'd seen before, the resignation that said, of course Daddy didn't come. Nobody stays. Marcus put his head in his hands and tried to breathe through the vice crushing his chest. An hour crawled by. The dripping sink marked time like a torture device. He'd memorized every crack in the concrete, every scratch on the gray paint. His mind spun through impossible scenarios. Breaking out. Overpowering a guard. Anything. But he wasn't an action hero. He was a 34-year-old software consultant who did yoga twice a week and considered it a workout. He was contemplating whether he could fake a heart attack convincingly when he heard footsteps. Officer Torres appeared at his cell, alone this time. She glanced down the hallway, then back at him. Her expression was still unreadable, but there was a tension in her shoulders that hadn't been there before. She pulled out her keys. The lock clicked open with a sound that seemed impossibly loud. Marcus stood slowly, not daring to hope, not even sure what he was hoping for. Torres stepped into the cell, not opening it for him to leave, stepping inside. The door remained ajar behind her, but she made no move to gesture him through it. Instead, she moved closer. Close enough that he could smell her perfume, something subtle and clean, like cedar and rain. Close enough to see the tiny scar on her left eyebrow. Close enough that his heart started hammering for reasons that had nothing to do with freedom and everything to do with the way she was looking at him, like she was trying to solve an equation that kept changing variables. "This stays between us," she whispered. Marcus froze. His mind raced through possibilities. Was she letting him go? Was this some kind of trap? A test? Was she? "I ran your case," Torres continued, her voice barely above a breath. "Deeper than I should have. Deeper than protocol allows." "And?" The word came out hoarse. "The warrant is real. But the case is wrong. 17 discrepancies in the documentation. Fingerprints that don't match yours. Security footage from Nevada showing someone 4 inches shorter than you." Her dark eyes locked on his. "Someone wanted you arrested today. Specifically today. This wasn't random, Mr. Chen." The cell suddenly felt smaller. "I don't understand." "The warrant says otherwise," Torres replied, sliding into the driver's seat. Her partner had taken Marcus's car to impound. "Identity theft is a serious crime, Mr. Chen." "I know it's serious because someone stole my identity." His voice cracked with desperation. "Please, just call. My daughter. She's at home with our neighbor, Mrs. Patel. She's expecting me in 2 hours to set up the party. I just need—" "You'll get your phone call at the station." The station was a low, brutalist building that looked like Hope went to die. Torres processed him with mechanical efficiency. Fingerprints, photos, personal effects into a manila envelope. His phone went into a plastic bag. His watch. His wallet with the photo of Zoe on her first day of kindergarten, gap-toothed and grinning. "Mrs. Patel's number is in my phone under favorites," he said as Torres sealed the bag. "Please, just call her. Tell her what happened. Zoe she can't think I forgot about her again." Something flickered across Torres's face. Brief, quickly suppressed. "You'll make your call shortly." Shortly turned out to be a bureaucratic lie. Marcus sat in a holding cell for 45 minutes before Torres returned, another officer in tow. The other cop was older, weathered, with the look of someone who'd seen every trick and believed none of them. "Mr. Chen," the older officer said, reading from a tablet, "you're being held on an outstanding warrant from Clark County, Nevada. Charges include identity theft, wire fraud, and conspiracy to commit mail fraud. Bail will be set Monday morning." The words hit like physical blows. "Monday? Today is Saturday. My daughter's party is today." "Should have thought about that before committing fraud in Nevada," the older cop said without sympathy. "I've never been to Nevada." "Tell it to the judge. Monday." He walked away, boots echoing on concrete. Marcus turned to Torres, desperate. She was watching him with an expression he couldn't read. Professional mask firmly in place, but something moved behind her dark eyes. Calculation. Assessment. Or maybe he was just projecting what he desperately wanted to see. "Officer Torres, please. My daughter is 8 years old. I'm all she has. Her mother left when she was 5, and last year I missed her birthday because of work. And she cried herself to sleep, and I swore I'd never—" His voice broke. He didn't care. Pride was a luxury he couldn't afford. "I'm begging you. Let me make one call. Just one. So she knows I didn't forget her." Torres's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I'll see what I can do." She left. Marcus sank onto the concrete bench that passed for furniture in his new accommodations. The cell was maybe 8 by 10 feet. Gray walls, gray floor. A toilet with no seat and a sink that dripped with metronomic persistence. The air smelled like industrial cleaner failing to mask decades of despair. "Neither do I. Not yet." She pulled out her phone, swiped to a photo, held it up for him to see. "Do you know this man?" Marcus squinted at the screen. The photo showed a young Latino man, early 20s, handsome in a boyish way, with a smile that suggested he laughed easily. "No, I've never seen him before. Who is he?" Something painful flashed across Torres's face. "My brother, Diego. He disappeared 2 years ago after witnessing something he shouldn't have. The case went cold." She swiped to another photo. This is from the Nevada investigation. The real perpetrator of the identity theft you're being charged with. The second photo showed surveillance footage, grainy but clear enough. A man using an ATM. Marcus's jaw literally dropped. The man looked enough like him to be a relative. Similar build, similar features, similar enough that a casual observer might not question an ID with Marcus's name and photo. Someone found a doppelganger, Marcus breathed. Someone found a patsy, Torres corrected. Her voice was tight with controlled emotion. And when I ran the case files, I found a connection. The detective who investigated Diego's disappearance? He worked one case in Nevada before transferring back here. Want to guess which case? Marcus's mind reeled. The identity theft case. The identity theft case that has your name on it. The case that produced a warrant executed today, on your daughter's 8th birthday. Torres's eyes were intense, burning with something that might have been anger or might have been pain. Someone knows exactly where you are right now, Mr. Chen. In custody, unable to protect your daughter. The bottom dropped out of Marcus's world. Zoe, he whispered. How many people knew about the party today? Everyone. I mean, she invited her whole class. 20 kids. I had to rent out half the play center. Mrs. Patel is setting up. The parents all have the address and time. It's at 4 o'clock and... He looked at his watch, but it was gone. What time is it? 2:47. 73 minutes. 73 minutes until his daughter would be surrounded by strangers in a public place, and someone had gone to elaborate lengths to make sure he was locked in a cell when it happened. Let me out, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the panic clawing at his throat. Please, whatever this is, whoever's behind it, I need to get to my daughter. Torres's expression was anguished. If I let you go, I lose everything. My badge, my career, my pension, everything I've worked for. If you don't let me go, something happens to Zoe. You don't know that. This could be... You wouldn't be here if you thought that. Marcus took a step closer. They were inches apart now, close enough that he could see her pulse jumping in her throat. You ran my case deeper than protocol allows. You compared it to your brother's case. You came here alone. You're telling me this stays between us. Another step. You already know what the right choice is, Officer Torres. You're just afraid to make it. Her jaw clenched. I don't know you. You could be part of this. This could be an elaborate... My daughter is 8 years old, Marcus interrupted, his voice cracking. Her name is Zoe. She loves dinosaurs and refuses to wear anything that isn't purple. She wants to be a paleontologist or a princess. She hasn't decided which yet. Her mother left us 3 years ago, and she still has nightmares about people disappearing. He held Torres's gaze, letting her see everything. The fear, the desperation, the absolute truth. If something happens to her because I'm locked in this cell, I will never forgive myself. But you, Officer Torres, you'll never forgive yourself either. Because you knew. Silence stretched between them, taut as a wire. Torres closed her eyes. When she opened them, something fundamental had shifted. You're going to have a medical emergency, she said quietly. Chest pains, difficulty breathing. Ambulance is 20 minutes out minimum, probably 30 on a Saturday. I don't understand. We have 18 minutes before someone checks on you. 18 minutes to figure out who's targeting you and why. Because if we don't, going to that party won't save your daughter. It'll just put you both in danger together. She pulled out a small tablet from her jacket. So start talking, Mr. Chen. Everything. Every detail of the last 6 months. Who have you pissed off? Who wants you out of the picture? Marcus's mind raced. Nobody. I'm a software consultant. I write code for inventory management systems. It's the most boring job in the world. Ex-wife? Sarah left 3 years ago. We haven't spoken in 2. She sends Zoe a birthday card every year with $50 in it. That's the extent of her involvement. New girlfriend? I barely have time to sleep, much less date. Torres's eyes flickered with something. Sympathy? Understanding? She moved on quickly. Neighbors, co-workers, anyone at Zoe's school? Mrs. Patel is 70 and bakes us cookies. My co-workers are developers who communicate in Slack messages and avoid eye contact. The school... He paused. Wait. There was something weird last month. Weird how? Zoe's school counselor, Ms. Brennan, started being really attentive, checking in constantly, asking about our home life. I figured she was just being thorough since Zoe's file notes she's from a single-parent household, but, Torres prompted, typing rapid notes. She recommended this enrichment program for kids who might benefit from additional mentorship. Very exclusive, very selective. Kept pushing it even after I said no. Torres stopped typing. Her face went pale. What was the program called? Future Leaders Initiative, I think. Why? Because Diego mentioned that program before he disappeared. Her voice was hollow. He was a youth counselor. He found evidence they were trafficking vulnerable kids. That's why he went into hiding. That's why... She swallowed hard. What else? Think, Mr. Chen. Any strange cars? People watching your house? Unusual phone calls? Marcus squeezed his eyes shut, forcing his panicked brain to work. Last week, Tuesday, I was picking up Zoe from school, and I took a photo of her with her science project. Just a quick snap for Instagram. But there was a black SUV in the background that pulled away the second I raised my phone. I thought it was paranoid to think it meant anything. Do you still have the photo? On my phone, which was in a plastic bag in an evidence locker. Their eyes met. The same realization hit them simultaneously. I can't, Torres said. Breaking you out is one thing, accessing evidence is... My daughter's face is in that photo, Marcus interrupted. So is whatever spooked that SUV, Officer Torres. Daniela, she said quietly. If we're doing this, if we're breaking every rule I've ever followed, call me Daniela. Daniela. Her name felt strange on his tongue. Intimate. I need that phone. She stared at him for a long moment. He could see the war playing out behind her eyes. Career versus conscience. Rules versus reality. Everything she'd worked for versus a little girl she'd never met. Then Daniela Torres made her choice. Okay, she breathed. Okay, here's what we're going to do. The evidence room was in the basement, Daniela explained as they moved quickly through the corridor. She'd triggered the medical emergency protocol, which bought them a window of chaos. Dispatch was calling for an ambulance. Her partner was dealing with a drunk and disorderly 2 blocks away. The desk sergeant was on his lunch break. 18 minutes had become 16. Stay close, Daniela murmured, one hand on Marcus's elbow as they descended the stairwell. The touch was professional, necessary for the charade that she was escorting a suddenly ill prisoner. But her fingers were warm through his sleeve, and Marcus found himself hyper-aware of every point of contact. Focus, Zoe, the party, the danger. But his traitorous brain also registered the way Daniela moved. Economical, confident. Like violence was always an option she kept in her back pocket. She was beautiful in a way that had nothing to do with softness, and everything to do with edges honed sharp enough to cut. There, she said, nodding toward a reinforced door marked Evidence, Authorized Personnel Only. She swiped her badge. The lock clicked red. Damn, she tried again. Red. What's wrong? My clearance level isn't high enough for evidence access. Daniela's jaw tightened. I'm patrol. Evidence requires detective-level authorization or... A door opened down the hallway. Male voices laughing about something. Daniela reacted on pure instinct. She grabbed Marcus's arm, yanked open the nearest door, a supply closet, and pulled them both inside. The space was barely 4 feet square, packed with filing boxes, cleaning supplies, and industrial shelving. They pressed together in the darkness, her back against his chest, his hand instinctively finding her waist to steady them both as the door clicked shut. The voices grew louder, footsteps approaching. Tell you, Morrison's got no idea how to handle the budget meeting. He's an idiot, but he's the chief's idiot, so we smile and nod. The footsteps paused directly outside the supply closet. Marcus held his breath. Daniela was perfectly still against him, but he could feel her heart hammering. Or maybe that was his own. Their bodies were aligned in a way that made it impossible not to notice how well she fit against him, how her hair smelled like something clean and citrusy, how— Not the time. Definitely not the time. You checked the holding cells? One voice asked. Torres said she had it covered. Some consultant having a panic attack or something. Soft civilians, the other voice scoffed. Can't handle 3 hours in lockup. Marcus felt Daniela tense. Her hand found his where it rested on her waist, squeezed once. A message. Stay quiet. I've got this. The footsteps moved on. Faded. A door closed somewhere distant. Neither of them moved immediately. Marcus realized he should let go of her waist, should step back, should definitely stop noticing the way her breathing had quickened, how the curve of her hip fit perfectly against. Daniela turned in the confined space. Now they were face to face, inches apart, her eyes adjusting to the darkness as a sliver of light from under the door cut across her features. We need a detective's badge, she whispered. How do we— We don't. I do. She bit her lip, thinking. Marcus tried very hard not to watch her teeth catch the light. Detective Reeves owes me a favor. Big one. I covered for him last year when he was indisposed during a shift. Indisposed? Drunk off his ass at his daughter's wedding. A ghost of a smile. He left his badge in his desk. If it's still there— Where's his desk? 3rd floor, Detective Bureau. She checked her watch, face illuminated briefly in the glow. 12 minutes. They were going to run out of time. Marcus could feel it like a physical weight. But Daniela was already moving, pressing her ear to the door, listening. Clear, she murmured, and slipped out. Marcus followed, his entire body on high alert. Every camera, every footstep, every opening door felt like a countdown to disaster. But Daniela moved like she'd choreographed this, taking stairs instead of the elevator, using back corridors, timing their movement between camera sweeps. How do you know— I studied the security system, she said without breaking stride. After Diego disappeared, I needed to know every blind spot in every precinct in the city, just in case. Just in case she needed to investigate without being watched. Just in case the people who took her brother were closer than she thought. The detective bureau was a maze of cubicles and glass-walled offices, mostly empty on a Saturday afternoon. Daniela led him to a desk buried in the back corner, buried under case files and coffee rings. She tried the drawer, locked. Of course, she muttered, then pulled a hairpin from her bun. Her dark hair tumbled loose, and Marcus had the utterly inappropriate thought that she was stunning like this. Professional armor cracking just slightly to reveal something softer underneath. She worked the lock with quick, practiced movements. Diego taught me, she said, catching his expression. Before he became a counselor, he had a colorful adolescence. The lock clicked. She rifled through the drawer. Pens, breath mints, a flask, empty, and finally a badge. Got it. Daniela held it up like a trophy, then paused. Thank you, Reeves, she murmured to the absent detective, something complicated in her voice. Gratitude, guilt, the weight of every rule she was shattering. Marcus touched her shoulder without thinking. Hey, you're saving my daughter's life. Whatever happens after this, whatever consequences. Don't! Daniela's voice was fierce, almost angry. Don't make this noble. I'm breaking every oath I took. I'm betraying everything I— She stopped, swallowed hard. Let's just get the phone. But she didn't pull away from his touch immediately. For a heartbeat, maybe two, she let herself lean into it, into him. Like she was so tired of carrying everything alone. Then the moment shattered. She straightened, transformed back into Officer Torres, and they moved. The evidence room door accepted Reeves's badge with a green light and a satisfying click. Inside was organized chaos. Rows of metal shelving packed with labeled boxes, bags, and containers. A computer terminal glowed in the corner, displaying the inventory system. Search by last name, Daniela said, already typing. Chen, Here, processed today, 1:47 p.m., shelf E17. They found it 3 rows back. Marcus's manila envelope, his name written in black marker, contents listed. 1 wallet, 1 watch, 1 mobile phone, iPhone 13, black. Daniela pulled out the phone, powered it on. The screen lit up with Zoe's face, gap-toothed grin, purple dress, science fair ribbon. Marcus's heart clenched. Gallery, he said, pointing. Tuesday's photos. Daniela swiped through. School pickup photos. Zoe holding her volcano project, proud as could be. Another of her with her teacher. Another of... There. Marcus tapped the screen. That one. The photo showed Zoe in the foreground, beaming. But behind her, in the school parking lot, a black SUV with tinted windows. The driver's side window was down just slightly, and the angle caught a partial reflection in the side mirror. Daniela zoomed in, enhanced, zoomed more. A man's profile, tattooed neck, sunglasses, and something else. License plate. Daniela breathed. She snapped a photo with her own phone, then pulled up the DMV database, typed in the plate number, waited. The result loaded. Vehicle registered to Excelsior Transport LLC. Excelsior, Marcus said. Why do I know that name? Daniela was already cross-referencing. Excelsior Transport, Shell Company, listed owners. Oh my God. What? She turned the screen toward him. The ownership documents listed 3 names. The third name made Marcus's blood run cold. Robert Brennan. Ms. Brennan at the school, Marcus said slowly. Her husband? Or brother, father, doesn't matter. Daniela was typing frantically now, pulling up everything she could find. Excelsior Transport has contracts with 3 school districts, including yours. They provide security consulting and enrichment programs. The Future Leaders Initiative is one of them. They're using the schools as hunting grounds, Marcus said, the full horror dawning. Vulnerable kids, single parents, families without safety nets. And when parents like you get suspicious, they remove you from the equation. Daniela's face was pale. Diego found evidence of at least 6 kids who went into that program and were never seen again. Runaways, officially. But he didn't believe it. What happened to him? I don't know. He called me 2 years ago, said he had proof, said he was meeting someone who could help expose everything. Then nothing. His apartment was cleaned out, his phone disconnected, like he never existed. Her voice cracked. I filed a missing persons report. It went nowhere. No evidence of foul play, no body, just gone. Marcus watched emotions war across her face. Grief, rage, guilt, determination. Without thinking, he reached out and took her hand. She startled, looking down at their intertwined fingers like she'd forgotten other people could offer comfort. We'll find him, Marcus said quietly. After we save Zoe, we'll find Diego. I promise. Daniela's eyes met his, shining with unshed tears. You can't promise that. I can try. You're trying to save my daughter. It's only fair. Something shifted in the air between them. The supply closet had been necessity, survival instinct. This was choice. Marcus was choosing to reach for her. She was choosing not to pull away. We have 7 minutes, Daniela said, but she didn't let go of his hand. The party starts in 58. Then we need to go. Marcus squeezed her fingers once, then released them. What's the plan? Daniela took a deep breath, and he watched her transform. The vulnerable woman receded. The warrior emerged. We can't arrest anyone without evidence, and we don't have time to build a case. But we can be present, visible. If Brennan or anyone from Excelsior is planning something at that party, having a police officer there will make them think twice. You'd come with me, officially? Off duty, she corrected. I'm taking you to the hospital for your medical emergency, if we happen to make a stop at your daughter's birthday party on the way. She shrugged, but her eyes were intense. I'm not letting Zoe out of my sight until we figure this out. Marcus felt something warm unfurl in his chest. Gratitude, yes. Relief, absolutely. But also something else. something that had no business existing in an evidence room while they raced against time to save his daughter. Attraction, not just to Daniela's beauty, though she was beautiful, even severe in her uniform, hair loose around her shoulders now, but to her courage, her willingness to risk everything for people she'd never met, the way she carried her grief like armor, but let him see the cracks. Later, he told himself firmly. If there is a later, if we survive this. Let's go save your daughter, Daniela said, and led him back toward the stairs. They made it to the parking garage without incident, climbed into Daniela's personal car, a modest Honda that smelled like coffee and leather, and she drove with the controlled urgency of someone who knew exactly how fast she could push without attracting attention. Marcus called Mrs. Patel from his recovered phone. Mr. Chen? The elderly woman's relief was palpable. Where are you? Zoe is asking every 5 minutes. I know, I'm so sorry, there was an emergency, but I'm on my way now. Mrs. Patel, this is very important. Has anyone unusual tried to talk to Zoe? Anyone you don't recognize? A pause. Well, Ms. Brennan from the school stopped by about 20 minutes ago. She said she wanted to wish Zoe happy birthday in person. I thought it was sweet. Marcus's blood went cold. Is she still there? No, she left. Said she might stop by the party later. Another pause. Mr. Chen, is something wrong? Just keep Zoe close. I'll be there in 15 minutes. Don't let her go anywhere with anyone, not even someone from school, okay? You're scaring me. Good, be scared, be careful. We'll explain everything soon. He hung up, met Daniela's eyes. She's already made contact, Daniela said grimly, establishing rapport, making Zoe comfortable, classic grooming behavior. Drive faster. She did. The indoor play center was a cacophony of primary colors and children's screams when they arrived. Daniela had changed quickly in the car, swapping her uniform shirt for a plain black jacket over a white tee. She still looked like a cop, something in the posture, the awareness, but less officially so. Marcus spotted Zoe immediately. She was at a table with 3 other girls, decorating cupcakes, and when she saw him, her whole face transformed. Daddy! She launched herself across the room, all flying braids and purple dress, crashing into his legs with enough force to nearly topple him. Marcus dropped to his knees, gathering her into his arms, breathing in her scent of strawberry shampoo and playground dust. Hey, birthday girl. I'm so sorry I'm late. Mrs. Patel said you had an emergency. Was someone sick? Did you have to fix a computer? Zoe pulled back, studying his face with 8-year-old intensity. You look weird. Weird how? Scared weird. Like when I have bad dreams and you come check on me. Smart kid. Too smart. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just didn't want to miss your party. Zoe's attention shifted to Daniela, who'd hung back slightly. Who's that? This is my friend Daniela. She helped me get here on time. Hi, Zoe, Daniela said, kneeling down to the girl's eye level. Her voice was gentler than Marcus had heard it. Your dad talks about you a lot. Happy birthday. Zoe studied Daniela with the same intensity she'd studied Marcus. Are you a police officer? Daniela blinked. How did you... You stand like Ms. Rodriguez at school. She was in the army, and you keep looking at all the exits. Zoe tilted her head. Also, you have handcuff marks on your belt. I can see where they rubbed the leather. Marcus watched Daniela's eyebrows rise with something like respect. You're very observant. Daddy says I notice too much. But I want to be a detective when I grow up, or a paleontologist, or maybe both. Zoe paused. Is my daddy in trouble? No, sweetheart, Daniela said firmly. Your daddy is a very good man. I'm just here to make sure your party is safe and fun, okay? Zoe seemed satisfied with this. Okay, do you want a cupcake? I made one with purple frosting and dinosaur sprinkles. It's awesome. I would love a cupcake. Marcus watched them walk toward the cupcake table together, his daughter chattering happily, Daniela listening with genuine interest. Something in his chest tightened. Zoe hadn't taken to a new adult this quickly since... ever. Not since Sarah left. He scanned the room, counting exits, noting faces. 20 kids, maybe 15 parents, all seemingly normal. No black SUVs in the parking lot when they'd arrived. No sign of Ms. Brennan. Maybe they'd scared her off. Maybe she'd seen Daniela and recognized the threat. Maybe. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Marcus answered. Hello? Silence. Then, Mr. Chen. A woman's voice, cultured and cold. You're a difficult man to keep in a cage. His hand tightened on the phone. Who is this? You know who this is, and you know what I want. A pause. Your daughter is very special, Mr. Chen. So bright, so curious, so vulnerable. It would be a shame if something happened to that curiosity. Marcus's vision tunneled. Across the room, Daniela caught his expression, immediately alert. If you touch her, I'm not going to touch her, the voice said pleasantly. You are. You're going to bring Zoe to the Future Leaders Initiative orientation next Saturday. You're going to sign all the paperwork. You're going to smile and tell everyone how grateful you are for this opportunity. And if I don't, then accidents happen, houses catch fire, brakes fail. Single fathers who can't afford good legal representation get convicted of crimes they didn't commit and lose custody. The voice hardened. You're not the first, Mr. Chen. You won't be the last. Sign your daughter over willingly or lose her anyway. Your choice. The line went dead. Marcus stood frozen, phone in hand, rage and terror warring in his bloodstream. Across the room, Zoe laughed at something Daniela said, completely oblivious to the monster circling their lives. Daniela materialized at his shoulder. What happened? He told her. Watched her face transform from concern to cold fury. She called you. That means she knows you're here, not in custody. Daniela scanned the room. She's watching. Or someone working for her is. What do we do? We end this. Tonight. Daniela pulled out her phone, typed rapidly. I'm calling in every favor I have. Off-duty officers I trust. Friends from the FBI. We're going to move on Excelsior Transport, on the Brennans, on everyone connected to this. Simultaneous raids. No warning. No leaks. That'll take hours to coordinate. Then we keep Zoe safe for hours. Daniela met his eyes. I'm not leaving your side. Not until every person involved in this is behind bars. Marcus wanted to argue. To tell her she'd already risked enough. That she should walk away before she destroyed her entire career. But Zoe's laughter rang out again, pure and innocent, and he knew he'd accept any help offered. Would sell his soul to keep that laugh safe. Thank you, he said instead. Daniela's hand found his, just for a moment, squeezed. We're going to win this, Marcus. I promise you. And looking into her fierce, determined eyes, he believed her. The party progressed with surreal normalcy. Children ran through obstacle courses made of foam blocks and climbing nets. Parents chatted by the buffet table, complaining about school district policies and sharing tips on potty training. Zoe opened presents with appropriate enthusiasm, a science kit, 3 books about dinosaurs, a craft set for making friendship bracelets. Marcus smiled, took photos, cut cake, all while his nerves screamed that something was wrong. Daniela stayed close, playing the role of his friend so naturally that several parents asked how long they'd been dating. Each time, she deflected with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes while scanning faces, watching hands, tracking movements. She's good with kids, Mrs. Patel observed, sidling up to Marcus while Zoe and Daniela engaged in an intense debate about whether velociraptors or T-Rexes were cooler. Your girlfriend. We're not, Marcus stumbled over the words. Mrs. Patel gave him a look that could have melted steel. Mr. Chen, I'm 73 years old. I've seen every kind of love there is. That woman looks at you like you're the last life raft on a sinking ship, and you look at her the same way. We just met today. Some people take years to find what matters. Some people take hours. She patted his arm. Don't be stupid about it. Before Marcus could respond, his phone buzzed again. Not a call this time. A text from an unknown number. Check your email, now. His hands shook as he pulled up his email app. The most recent message had no subject line, just an attachment. A video file. Marcus's thumb hovered over it. "Don't," Daniela said sharply, appearing at his elbow. "Let me check it first. Could be malware, could be—" She stopped as Marcus opened it anyway. The video began playing. The footage was grainy, shot from a high angle. Security camera, probably. It showed a small room, concrete walls, a single chair. And in that chair, bound and gagged, was a young man who looked hauntingly like the photo Daniela had shown him earlier. Diego Torres. Daniela made a sound like she'd been punched. Her hand shot out, gripping Marcus's wrist with bruising force as she stared at the screen. Diego was alive. Thinner than in his photo. Beard grown out, eyes haunted. But alive. A figure moved into frame. Tall, female, face obscured by the camera angle. She leaned down, spoke directly into Diego's ear. He flinched. Then she turned toward the camera, and Marcus's blood froze. Ms. Brennan, Zoe's school counselor, but different. Hair down, expression cold, nothing maternal about her anymore. Her lips moved, and subtitles appeared at the bottom of the screen. "Officer Torres has been very helpful today, making sure Marcus Chen stays free, making sure he can get to his daughter's party. I wonder if she knows she's working for us." Daniela's face drained of color. The video continued. Ms. Brennan produced a knife, ran it almost lovingly along Diego's cheek. He squeezed his eyes shut. "Every rule you break, Officer Torres, gives us more leverage. Evidence tampering, aiding an escape, conspiracy. You've built us such a beautiful case against you. And when the dust settles, when you're arrested for corruption, who do you think will take custody of little Zoe Chen? A single father with a criminal record? Or a respected educational program with impeccable references?" The video ended. Marcus and Daniela stood frozen, the party chaos swirling around them like they were in the eye of a hurricane. "It was a setup," Daniela whispered. Her voice was hollow. "Everything. They wanted me to help you escape. They've been filming the whole thing. The evidence room, the badge theft, all of it." "How?" "Cameras we don't know about. Or someone on the inside feeding them footage." She looked up at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. "I played right into their hands. I thought I was saving you, but I was—" "Saving my daughter," Marcus interrupted fiercely. "You were saving Zoe. That's what matters. It won't matter if I'm arrested and they use me as leverage to take her anyway." Marcus's mind raced. They were trapped. If they ran, they looked guilty. If they stayed, they'd be arrested. If they tried to fight, Diego died and Zoe was still vulnerable. Checkmate. Unless they made one mistake, Marcus said slowly. "What?" "They think we're alone. They think you're the only cop who knows about this." He met her eyes. "You said you were calling in favors, making calls. How many people did you contact?" Daniela's eyes widened with understanding. 7 off-duty officers, 2 FBI contacts, a detective from organized crime. "So right now, there are at least 7 people who know about Excelsior Transport and the Future Leaders Initiative. People you trust. People who would have started their own investigations the moment you reached out. But the raids won't happen for hours. We need to make them think they've already won," Marcus said. His mind was working now, pieces falling into place. "They want me to bring Zoe in voluntarily, to sign her over, so we do that." "Absolutely not. We do it tonight. Right now. We make the call. Tell them we're ready to cooperate. They'll want to move fast before we change our minds or your cop friends figure things out. They'll bring us somewhere. Probably where they're holding Diego." Daniela was shaking her head. "That's insane. We'd be walking into—" "A trap, yes. But one where all the players are in the same room. One where your friends know exactly where to find us because we'll send them the location." Marcus grabbed her shoulders. "Daniela, they're going to take her anyway. This way, we control when and how. This way, we save Diego at the same time. This way, we all die. or we all survive. Marcus glanced across the room where Zoe was showing another girl how to make a paper airplane. I won't let them take her. Not without a fight. But I can't fight them alone. Daniela stared at him for a long moment. He could see the calculation happening behind her eyes. Odds, risks, the weight of her brother's life against a little girl she'd just met. If we do this, she said finally, we do it my way. Full tactical approach. Wire, tracking, backup plans, and you follow my lead exactly. Understood? Understood. I'm probably going to regret this. Probably. Marcus tried for a smile, but at least we'll regret it together. Something flickered across Daniela's face. In another time, another circumstance, he thought she might have kissed him. Instead, she squeezed his hand once, hard, and pulled out her phone. Let's do this. They made the call from Marcus's car in the parking lot, while Mrs. Patel supervised the remainder of the party inside. Marcus had told Zoe he needed to handle a work emergency, the first lie he'd ever told her that really mattered. The phone rang twice before Ms. Brennan answered. Mr. Chen, I hoped you'd see reason. I want my daughter safe, Marcus said, following Daniela's script. If that means cooperating with your program, fine, but I have conditions. You're not in a position to negotiate. I am if you want this done quietly. If you want me to sign over custody willingly, to make this look legitimate. Marcus forced steadiness into his voice. I'll bring Zoe tonight, to wherever you want. But first, I need proof that she'll actually be safe. That this isn't just human trafficking? Ms. Brennan's laugh was cold. Mr. Chen, we're not monsters. The Future Leaders Initiative is a legitimate program. We simply recruit very selectively from families who won't be missed. The casual cruelty of it made Marcus's stomach turn. Proof, he repeated. Show me the facility. Let me meet the staff. Then I'll sign. Silence. He could almost hear her calculating. Daniela had been listening on speaker. Her face was white. They're watching everything. Which means your friends need to move carefully. No official channels. Nothing that could be monitored. Marcus met her eyes. Can you trust them to figure it out? Detective Sarah Kim, she's smart, paranoid. She'll know something's wrong when I go dark. Daniela pulled out a second phone from her glove compartment, something old and battered. Burner. I keep it for emergencies. Kim knows about it. She typed rapidly, Excelsior, 1847. Industrial, 1 hour. Come quiet. Hostage situation. Diego alive. Send. Then she pulled out the battery, making the phone untraceable. Now what? Marcus asked. Now we wire you, get a tracking device on Zoe, and pray your daughter is as smart as she seems. 40 minutes later, Marcus pulled his car into the abandoned warehouse district with Zoe in the passenger seat and Daniela hidden in the trunk. It had taken 10 minutes to convince Zoe to play along, another 5 to explain why without terrifying her completely. So Ms. Brennan is actually a bad guy? Zoe had asked, eyes wide. Yes, sweetheart. And Daniela is a cop trying to catch her? Yes. And I have to pretend I don't know any of this? Exactly. Can you do that? Zoe had considered this with the seriousness of a general planning a campaign. Then she'd nodded. I can do that. I'm really good at pretending. Last year, I pretended I liked Sarah Mitchell's birthday party, even though she only invited me because her mom made her. Marcus had hugged her so hard she squeaked. You're the bravest person I know. Braver than Daniela? Just as brave. Different kind of brave. Now, approaching the warehouse, Marcus felt the wire taped to his chest, the tracking device sewn into Zoe's purple dress, and tried to project calm he absolutely didn't feel. The warehouse was massive, corrugated metal, windows dark. 2 black SUVs parked outside. No other signs of life. Marcus parked, looked at Zoe. Remember, I know, Daddy. Act normal. Stay close to you. If you say purple elephant, I run. She paused. What's a purple elephant? The code word that means things are really bad. Oh. Zoe nodded seriously. Okay. They got out. Marcus took his daughter's hand. Her palm was sweaty. The warehouse door opened before they reached it. Ms. Brennan stood in the doorway, backlit and silhouetted. "Mr. Chen, Zoe, welcome." Inside was a nightmare dressed as legitimacy. The warehouse had been converted into a facility. Classrooms, dormitories, a cafeteria. Everything clean and modern and utterly wrong. Because there were children. Dozens of them. Various ages, all with the same haunted look in their eyes. All too quiet, too still. Moving through spaces like ghosts. "Our students," Ms. Brennan said with pride. "Gifted children from unfortunate circumstances. We provide structure, education, purpose." "You provide prisoners," Marcus said before he could stop himself. Ms. Brennan's smile didn't waver. "We provide opportunity. These children were going nowhere. Dead-end schools, broken homes, no futures. Now they have skills, discipline, and when they graduate our program, they have jobs waiting." "Doing what?" "Whatever we need." She gestured to a classroom where children sat at computers, fingers flying over keyboards. Intelligence gathering, hacking, identity theft, corporate espionage. "We're building the next generation of operatives, Mr. Chen. People who understand loyalty because we're the only family they have." Zoe's hand tightened in Marcus's. He squeezed back. "Stay calm, stay calm. Zoe will thrive here," Ms. Brennan continued. "Gifted IQ, natural observational skills, no strong maternal attachment. She's perfect." "Where's Diego Torres?" The question came out harder than Marcus intended. Ms. Brennan's expression flickered. "Insurance. Officer Torres has been very busy today, breaking laws, destroying her career. We needed to ensure she kept making those choices." "I want to see him. That was the deal. The deal was you cooperate. You've done nothing yet but waste my time." Marcus felt the moment shifting, control slipping. He needed to stall, needed to give Daniela time to make her move, needed... Zoe gasped. Marcus followed her gaze to a figure emerging from a back room. Young Latino man, beaten but alive, hands cuffed, flanked by 2 guards. Diego Torres. He looked worse in person than on video. One eye swollen shut, lip split, moving with the careful stiffness of broken ribs. But his remaining eye was alert, calculating. "You brought a child," Diego said to Ms. Brennan. His voice was raspy but strong. "That wasn't part of your usual protocol. Special circumstances." "Special circumstances," Diego repeated. He looked at Marcus, then at Zoe, and something passed through his expression. Recognition. Understanding. "Special like having a cop in the trunk of that car outside?" Marcus's heart stopped. Ms. Brennan spun toward him. "What did you—" Diego moved. Despite the cuffs, despite the injuries, he moved with the speed of someone who'd been waiting 2 years for this exact moment. He drove his shoulder into the nearest guard, sent him sprawling, and in the chaos that erupted, Marcus grabbed Zoe and ran. "Purple elephant!" he shouted. And Zoe, brilliant and brave, ran with him without hesitation. Behind them, gunfire erupted. Marcus felt a bullet whip past his ear, felt Zoe stumble, caught her before she fell. They crashed through a door into what looked like a dormitory. Bunk beds, terrified children scattering like startled birds. "Down!" Marcus pulled Zoe behind a metal bunk bed. "Stay down. Stay quiet." The door exploded inward. Ms. Brennan stood in the entrance, gun raised, face twisted with rage. "You stupid, stupid man. Did you really think you could—" Daniela hit her from the side like a freight train. They went down in a tangle of limbs and violence. Daniela had freed herself from the trunk during Diego's distraction, come in through a side entrance, and now she fought with the focused brutality of someone who had 2 years of rage to work through. "Go!" Daniela shouted at Marcus between blows. "Get her out! Get everyone out! Go!" Marcus didn't hesitate. He scooped up Zoe, turned to the dormitory full of children. "Everyone out! Now! Run!" The children stared at him, frozen by months or years of conditioning. Then one girl, maybe 10 years old, with fierce eyes and a scar on her cheek, stood up. "You heard him. Let's go." And just like that, the spell broke. Children poured from the dormitory like a flood, heading for any exit they could find. Marcus ran with them, Zoe in his arms, following the tide toward light and freedom, and they burst out of the warehouse into the cool night air and found themselves surrounded. Police cars. Dozens of them. Lights flashing, officers in tactical gear, FBI windbreakers, and standing in front of them all, a Korean woman in a leather jacket holding a badge. "Marcus Chen?" she called out. "I'm Detective Sarah Kim. Where's Torres?" "Inside, fighting. There's a hostage, Diego Torres. We know. We've been tracking you since you parked." Kim made a sharp gesture, and tactical teams poured into the warehouse. "Get those kids medical attention, and someone get Mr. Chen and his daughter somewhere safe." Marcus sagged with relief so intense it was almost painful. He set Zoe down, and she immediately wrapped herself around his leg like a barnacle. "Is Daniela okay?" she asked in a small voice. "I don't know, sweetheart, An explosion. The warehouse's upper windows blew outward in a shower of glass. Smoke billowed. Sirens wailed. Officers shouted into radios. The organized scene descended into controlled chaos. And then, limping out of the smoke, supporting each other like wounded soldiers, came Daniela and Diego. Daniela's face was bloodied, her jacket torn. Diego looked ready to collapse. But they were alive. They were walking. They were free. Marcus didn't remember moving. One moment he was standing with Zoe, the next he was running toward Daniela, and she was running toward him, and they collided in the middle distance with enough force to hurt. He grabbed her face, checked her for serious injuries, found nothing life-threatening. "Are you insane? You could have been killed." "Probably," Daniela agreed breathlessly. "But I wasn't. We won, Marcus. He kissed her. It wasn't planned. Wasn't tactical. Was probably the worst timing in the history of first kisses. But Marcus Chen had spent the worst day of his life watching this woman risk everything for people she'd just met. And he couldn't not kiss her. Daniela made a surprised sound, then melted into him, her hand fisting in his shirt, kissing him back with the desperate intensity of two people who'd been fighting for their lives and had somehow won. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Daniela whispered, "This is extremely unprofessional." "Probably. I'm going to be investigated for weeks, months maybe. Probably. I broke about 70 laws today. I counted at least 80, Marcus said, and kissed her again. A small voice interrupted. "Are you guys done being gross? Because Diego looks like he's gonna fall down." They broke apart to find Zoe watching them with the expression of someone deeply satisfied with their matchmaking skills. Behind her, Diego had indeed collapsed into a sitting position, EMTs swarming around him. Daniela laughed, the sound slightly hysterical. I need to." "Go," Marcus said. "He needs you." She hesitated, torn between duty and whatever was sparking between them. "I'll be here when you're done," Marcus promised. "We'll be here." Daniela nodded, squeezed his hand once more, and went to her brother. Marcus watched her go, then looked down at Zoe. "Well, that was quite a birthday party." Zoe considered this. "Best party ever," she declared. "I got to be a secret agent and Daddy got a girlfriend. 2 presents in one day." We're not... "Daddy." Zoe gave him the look. The one that said she was 8 going on 30 and saw through all his nonsense. "You like her. She likes you. Diego is her brother, so he'll be like my uncle. Mrs. Patel already approves. This is simple." Marcus laughed despite everything. Despite the trauma and the terror and the fact that they'd almost died. Because his daughter was alive and safe and apparently possessed the romantic sensibilities of a 1950s matchmaker. "Yeah, okay," he said. "Maybe it is that simple." 3 months later, the suspension hearing took 6 weeks. Daniela was cleared of all major charges. The video evidence from the warehouse, combined with testimony from rescued children and Diego's 2 years of documented captivity, proved her actions were justified. She received an official reprimand, required therapy sessions, and a commendation for exceptional bravery. The commendation came with a promotion to detective. Diego spent 3 weeks in the hospital, another month in physical therapy. He moved into Daniela's guest room to recover, where Mrs. Patel promptly adopted him as an additional grandson and force-fed him her famous samosas until he gained back 20 pounds. Marcus's charges were dropped. Excelsior Transport was dismantled. Ms. Brennan and 17 others were arrested. The investigation uncovered a network spanning 4 states. At least 40 children recovered. And through it all, through depositions and therapy and healing, Marcus and Daniela navigated whatever this thing between them was becoming. It wasn't simple, despite Zoe's proclamation. Daniela had nightmares. Marcus had trust issues. They argued about her overprotective tendencies and his habit of not asking for help. They were both too stubborn, too damaged, too aware of everything that could go wrong. But they kept trying, which was how Marcus found himself on a Saturday morning, 3 months after the worst birthday party in history, standing in his kitchen making dinosaur pancakes, while Daniela sat at the counter in his shirt, hair messy, nursing coffee and watching him with an expression that made his heart do complicated things. "You're staring," he said without turning around. "I'm appreciating," Daniela corrected. "There's a difference." Zoe wandered in, already dressed for her soccer game, and climbed onto the stool next to Daniela. "Are you sleeping over again?" "Zoe," Marcus started. "Yes," Daniela said simply, "if that's okay with you." Zoe considered this with her usual seriousness. "Are you going to move in eventually? Because you're here all the time anyway, and it seems wasteful to pay rent on 2 places. Marcus nearly dropped the spatula. "Zoe, we haven't... That's not... Do you want me to?" Daniela asked, and Marcus realized she wasn't talking to Zoe. He turned around. Daniela was watching him with that fierce, open expression that still surprised him. The one that said she was all in, walls down, heart offered. "Yes," he said. "Yeah, I really do." "Cool," Zoe said, completely unbothered. "Can I have 3 pancakes? Soccer takes energy." Diego appeared in the doorway, still moving carefully but smiling. "Did I just hear my sister agree to domestic bliss? Someone alert the media." "Shut up, Diego," Daniela said without heat. "Make me." "Children," Marcus said mildly, plating pancakes. "We have an actual child present. Try to act mature." "He started it," Daniela and Diego said in unison, then glared at each other. Zoe rolled her eyes dramatically. Adults are so weird. Marcus met Daniela's eyes across the kitchen. She grinned, and he grinned back. And the moment was so perfectly ordinary and domestic and impossible that he wanted to freeze it forever. This was what they'd fought for. Not just survival, but this. Saturday morning pancakes and sibling bickering, and a little girl who felt safe enough to roll her eyes at adults. A family built from chaos and crisis, held together by choice instead of obligation. Later, at Zoe's soccer game, Marcus stood on the sidelines with Daniela's hand in his, watching his daughter score a goal and celebrate with her team. Diego sat nearby in a folding chair, heckling the referee with Mrs. Patel providing color commentary. "This is nice," Daniela said quietly. "Yeah?" "Yeah." She leaned into him slightly. "I never thought, after everything with Diego, I didn't think I'd get to have this. Normal. Family. Someone who..." She stopped, swallowed. "Someone who stays." Marcus turned to face her fully. "Daniela Torres, I got arrested at my daughter's birthday party, broke about 80 laws, fought human traffickers, and kissed a police officer during an active crime scene. I'm not going anywhere." "Good," she whispered. "Because I love you, and I know it's too soon, and we probably should wait to say things like that, but I almost died 3 months ago, so..." He kissed her. Right there on the soccer field sidelines, with Zoe's entire team watching and probably filming, kissed her like it was the easiest thing in the world, which it was. "I love you too," he said when they broke apart. "So much it's actually terrifying." "Good terrifying or bad terrifying?" "Best terrifying. Like standing at the edge of something amazing and being brave enough to jump." Daniela smiled, the kind that transformed her entire face. "Well then, let's jump together." From the field, Zoe's voice rang out. "Daddy! Daniela! Did you see my goal? I was awesome!" "We saw!" they shouted back in unison, and Marcus thought about that day. The cell, the whispered secret, the impossible choice that led to everything good in his life now. Sometimes the worst moments crack you open just enough to let the light in. Sometimes the person who arrests you becomes the person who saves you. Sometimes this stays between us is just the beginning of a story that everyone needs to hear. A story about single fathers and dedicated officers. About brothers who survive and daughters who thrive. About families formed in fire and love found in the unlikeliest places. About a birthday party that ended with handcuffs and started with forever.